Hello there. I'm going to demonstrate how to set up SDL for our lab here. And the first thing we're going to do is navigate to our lab page, read the directions. There are specific directions for Windows, which you can click here, and I'm going to walk through. But the very first thing we need to do is download our starter code, which we'll click through this link. It's going to give me a repository, and this gives me some starter code that's set up to work with OpenGL on Windows. Okay, so it's going to take a moment to download and set things up. So we're going to pause for a moment. And you should be familiar with Git at this point. If you haven't, there's an awesome try Git in 15 minutes tutorial on the web that'll walk you through and get you familiar with how Git and GitHub works. Okay, so let's take a moment for this repository to download. It might already be set up here. And while this is importing, the first thing we want to do is start setting up OpenGL. To do this, I'm going to download a tool called GL View, which is done here. This is the OpenGL extension viewer. This is going to tell us what version of OpenGL we have, our graphics card, and other information. So I've actually already installed it, and I can run it. And it's going to take a moment to load up. And this is going to tell us also about our graphics card. Okay, so here's OpenGL. We see it's version 4.4, and our render, which is the graphics card and how much memory we have. Okay, so just some information. For this course, we're looking for 3.3 or above. Okay, so my next step is to download the SDL library, libSDL. SDL is a windowing library. I'm going to download it, and we're using Visual Studio. So that's this first link here. I'm going to show it in the folder. And I'm going to extract all these files. And I'm going to actually move them somewhere more useful into my C drive. So I know where they are. These library files will be referenced from many projects, so I'm in a standard location. It's a little bit safer than downloads. And let's go ahead and boot up Visual Studio. So in order to create a OpenGL project with SDL, I'm going to go File, New, Project. It's an empty project. We're in C++. I'm going to browse and just put it on my desktop here. And let's name it Hello SDL. Okay, so we've got a new project. There's no source files. I'm on a 64-bit machine, so I want to configure this to 64. Release or debug won't matter. But what does matter is getting our library set up. So to do that, I'll click on Hello SDL, Properties, and I need to tell our system, or this project, where all these SDL and OpenGL files are. So to do that, I'll go to VC++ directories. I'm going to include directories, and I want to reference where SDL is, which is my PC, C drive, SDL, and the include directory. Okay, so I'll select that, hit OK, as well as the library directories. These are the actual compiled source files, and those will be in the same location, SDL, the lib folder, and remember we're on 64-bit configuration. And okay, and I should note that I am configuring for all configurations, both release and debug here on the 64-bit platform. Now for our linker, the input into our linker, there are two files, and I can actually show them in the SDL2 folder in lib. 64, SDL2 lib, and SDL2 main.lib that we need to include. This tells us which specific libraries in that folder do we need to include. Okay. And finally, under System, Subsystem, we want to make this a console-based project so we can get any error messages. And I'm going to hit Apply, and OK. Let's check in on that repo, see if it's still preparing. Oops. Looks like there's an error. I was wondering why that was taking so long. So if we restart, I will log in here. Oops. Let me actually just bring in the code in another folder. Apologies for that. This is what your repo will look like. In Lab 1, you'll have a README that you want to edit, a source folder, and an include folder. So let's go ahead and just download this. And I've downloaded the zip file, and for Lab 1. So if I open it up, or rather, let's extract it, and let's put it somewhere more useful. I'm going to put it on my desktop for now. And extract it there. Lab 1. And again, we have another include folder, which has libraries. So let's add that to our project. Properties, Visual C++ directories, include directories, edit, and include this other include folder. And this will do. Just exactly like that. Hit apply. And now I want to add these source files to my project. So there's a lab.cpp. So go file, add, new item. I'm going to call this, I can add from an existing item. So let's go ahead and do that. Desktop, lab1 master, source, and I've got these two items. I'm going to hit control and select them both. And both are added to my project. Now let's actually see if this project builds. Would you like to build it? Yes. I think it's going to build, but we might encounter one little problem. That's creating the library, the executable. It says, oh, it tried to execute, but it couldn't find this SDL2 dynamic link library. So hit OK. This means in our project where we created it, so on our desktop in Hello SDL, in this project, we need to add this SDL DLL. So what did I call it? Hello SDL here, 64-bit version here. I'll run it, and we're good to go. Okay, so we need to make sure that the SDL DLL lives with our project files. Now there's a number of ways I could do this. Let's actually get rid of these files here. I'll remove them and create them from scratch so they all live in the same folder. So lab.cpp, we see it shows up here. I'm going to create another blank one called glad.c and just copy and paste that source from our lab. So here, for example, I have glad, and I'll paste that in, and our lab source code. I'll paste that in as well. Okay, so now everything lives together here nicely. I'll try to run it again, and we're all set. We get our blank window. And that's it.